Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time we kept going with the Amber Void Crusade? Yeah, Amber Void Crusade. And we will keep going because we gotta hit this one, and I'll check my map again. Because I don't want to screw this up too much. Okay, wait. Okay, yeah. The line on the map threw me off. So first we gotta hit this, and then, yeah, I guess we have to hit this one, because everything else is a +1. Ugh, that's gonna suck. Oh well. No modifiers, don't want to monkey with it. Second starts getting a little tougher. You know, hey, I actually have more lives than normal. Cool.
Intelligence assets report the presence of important hostile machinery in the area. Exact locations are unknown. Auger scanners indicate moderate hostile presence.
So if you follow EVE Online at all, they recently announced they're doing a new expansion. They do like 1 or 2 a year. Which, credit where credit is due. They may not be like colossal expansions, but they do them for free, and they're not half bad. Like, they're usually rebuilding or fixing up old systems, which a lot of games don't do. And it looks like it's going to be fixing up the Faction War system, which is cool, because that hasn't been, you know, not trash in a very long time. So that's a cool thing to see, but I'm sitting here scratching like I'm Tyrone Biggums, the crack addict from the Chappelle Show. I'm just like, you got any of them pirate ships? Still waiting for those pirate factions to get fleshed out for years with nothing. When realistically all you have to do is take like half the stuff from one faction, half the stuff from the other, put them together, and put a new paint scheme on some ships, but, you know, what do I know? I'm actually not mad, it's just, it's one of those things where I'm just like, come on, just please finish it so we can do other stuff. I want pirate factions to be fully fleshed out and be cool. Because I feel like they could do something with pirate factions and low sec, since people just don't go through there anymore. Like, the entirety of low sec is like a flyover area. It's like living in the Midwest. Yeah, hopefully that's good. I saw Atomic Heart got delayed, which is fine. You know, as much as I'm looking forward to that game, when a game gets announced for a release date, I'm like, oh, so like 6 months after. I just never trust any of these estimates because they're never accurate anymore. That's something I've noticed is kind of weird, is games don't follow their pre-order dates or their, like, established release dates. And it's like, I've seen some studios are like, oh, we take pride in not having crunch. And I'm like, how? Like, project management, you have 3 main resources: time, money, and manpower. The house rule is always, you can only pick 2. The other one you will always be short on. So, you're either going to be running in the red and having enough manpower and time, or you're going to have the money and the time, but you're going to be understaffed for the project. So it's like, which of these two is the reality here? Because otherwise I don't know how you're pulling this off. And also, to a degree, I blame crunch on poor project management. And because it just happens, you know, as you get closer to a release date, you want to make sure everything is right. You want to double or triple check stuff. You see that with, honestly, any project. I mean, if you're like me, back in college and school in general, I just did everything the night before. Did fine, but, you know, it was always a bad idea every time I did it. I remember one class, I didn't do anything until the last day. I did an entire semester's worth of work in, like, a night. I was up late. Part of it was the teacher. He never opened the Dropbox. I was like, yo, I kind of need this Dropbox. I have all this stuff done, lying through my teeth. And he finally opens it. He's like, well, I don't see anything in there. I'm just like, you called me on my bluff, and now I have to do all of this now. But also, you should have had this open way sooner. Because admittedly, I kept waiting because I didn't know what to do with the Dropbox not open. And so, like I said, I spent a night pulling an all-nighter doing everything for an entire semester. And I passed, so, haha. Honestly, that was pretty funny. Like, to think back, like, I just clutched up and did all that. But, in general, like, time management is a big thing, but also, you're always double and triple checking things, hopefully, at the end. And I mean, as we see it, crunch isn't really like I mean, it does happen last day before launch, but that's more of like day one patch, as opposed to you probably have some degree of crunch the month before when your game goes gold. Because that's the process or the time when you actually get, you know, discs printed or whatever. Which makes me wonder, no, because games still do physical copies. I was gonna say, do they just not have that gold period? But they have to. Because you have to submit it for cert to make sure the game doesn't brick a system. And you have to just submit it for discs, because some people like me still buy physical copies. Because I'm not dumb. Seriously, if you don't buy discs, you should. If you lose control of your accounts or whatever, you lose those games. But if someone can take your Steam account, or your Epic Game Store account, or your Xbox or whatever, you still have discs. You can set up a new account or get your account back and just pop the disc in and you have the game. You know, should the servers go offline and you no longer have access to the download, you can still play your game. You're getting a 1.0 version, so there might be bugs, but you can still play it. And let's be real, there's not a lot of games that actually have horrendous game-breaking bugs in their day one launch. Saints Row is the exception. I mean, I swear the game is more bug than game. And I will continue to shit on that game for eternity. I've said before, I tend to rag on games because I love them. New Saints Row I have no love for. I'm just here to absolutely make fun of it. I missed the other objective. I'm stupid. Alright, so we get to run back. Oh my god, I just remembered I saw a thing for the She-Hulk show. One of the head writers, I think, or like one of the executive producers, something along those lines, was the writer for the Pickle Rick and Morty episode. That, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I imagine some executive at Disney was just, they either have a kid who watches Rick and Morty, or they just saw the memes and were like, oh, people think this is hilarious, we need to get that person on our project. And they did. When I don't know of anybody who actually thought the Pickle Rick thing was funny. It's more of just a kind of cringe meme. I mean, that kind of sums up Rick and Morty at this point. Which is sad, because I actually did like the show initially. Kind of the nihilism of it, with how Rick was and all that. I thought it was interesting. Don't know where those guys came from.
Praise the Omnisar.
But like, it just started getting really, really just wacky. Quick garbage run. Let's see. I mean, it's not bad, but I already have stuff that burns on critical heat hits, so that's moot. The loot quality would be nice, but I also want to keep my shield as an emergency ability. Even though I really shouldn't need it, it's still one of those things where I'm like, I should probably keep this just in case. Game, please. Please, let me just... I think if you do the Supreme Mission, you end, so I think we need to keep running this one, I believe.
Auspex lock on the fugitive Inquisitor. It may sound strange, but our directive is to capture the target, preferably alive.
You know what would have been a cool mechanic for this game? If you played Grim Dawn, they had like a reputation system where if you did enough stuff against a faction, they could send like a assassin after you, and it was like a super high tier boss. And I think that's really cool. You could implement that in here. Yes, every faction hates you because they're diametrically opposed to you. But what you could do is have it be like a meter. You know, oh, you have done things against this faction so much that we're sending our big bad after you. Big bad shows up in, or has a % chance of showing up in a mission. When you kill Big Bad, the meter resets. And it's less of, oh, they're cool with you now, but more of they're kind of falling back, reassessing and rebuilding their strength before coming after you again. Oh, I actually have to catch up with the guy. Weird. Wish I knew about this sooner. I would have just kept chasing this guy instead of trying to not. Who thought this was a good idea?
The fugitive has disappeared from the surveillance feed. I thought we had this one in the bag.
What? Was that not the guy? Was that? Oh my god. Yeah, that's a stupid mission. Yeah, that's a really stupid mission. And I think that completely screwed up my pathing. Whatever. We'll just keep moving. See, this is my complaint too, is it's a mission that they've never had elsewhere. And it's just like, oh yeah, adapt. What is this mission? Why is it here? Because if you look, Hot Pursuit, I guess is what it is. I've never seen that outside of this right now. That's so dumb.
You are right on target.
Yeah, these Void
Inquisitor.
Crusades.
Multiple heavy weapon platforms in close vicinity, keeping the Imperial.
The ideas are cool, but the devs really just kind of threw
There will be no one left to
random shit at the wall, it feels like, when you have missions like that.
anyway.
And who implements that in a game like this? Especially when, for the longest time, cover was a critically important thing, and that was kind of what made the game stand out, was you could use cover. And while, yes, they've shifted away from that, there are design choices that have stayed. So it just feels kind of goofy to be like, oh, here's quick chase the guy. What ARPG has that mode? The closest thing I can think of is going after, like, loot goblins in Diablo. And even then, the loot goblins, like, they stand around, and you can actually get really close before triggering them. And even then, you can, every time you, like, hit the goblin, I think, I haven't hunted a loot goblin in ages, but you could keep kind of staggering them or stopping them from fleeing, so you can just wail on them. And at least, you got rewards for the loot goblins. That's just stupid. Guess from here on in, when I run these, I'll have to pay attention to what kind of mission they're running. Still think it's funny they have the AA guns on this for...
In the name of the Emperor.
Oh, they are AA batteries this time. Okay. Because as I say, the vehicle those go on, there's actually a, like, mortar variant. But it's nice to see it's actually properly AA this time around. Which I know I talked about this a little bit last week, but that's something I hope for Space Marine 2 is a proper... Like, you can have, like, TDM and stuff, but then having objective-based modes. And letting people just pull dreadnoughts.
But there is more.
The dreadnought mode is cool, but I prefer just having them out in the open, or having them be a vehicle you can just spawn with. Because, like, yes, they're powerful, but I don't like the idea of them being the objective. And it would be cool, like I had said before, with having the Titanfall-style AI spawns, to just be sitting there, turn, look at, like, a sentinel, and have, like, a plasma cannon build on your dreadnought that you yourself pulled, and just blast it to pieces. Or you have an auto cannon, you just start opening up on it. There would be cool things you could really do. I mean, 40K, as realistically as narrow as the setting is, which, I mean, if you really do look at it, it's a very narrow in scope setting. It just kind of feels big because it's like, oh, it's in space. You can have environments anywhere and fights everywhere. But, like, military-wise, the number of factions that are properly supported and fleshed out, it's actually pretty narrow. And how much stuff gets retconned, or you look at, like, Horsehair, see how much stuff is just like, oh, yep, it's gone now. Tech, go bye-bye. You don't get that tank anymore. Because So I mean, easily for Space Marines, they could double, if not triple, the stuff if they kept everything from Horus Heresy and brought it over. Didn't even see the chest. I guess part of my problem here is I should have just focused on looking for the objective instead of trying to, like, do my usual kill everything, loot everything mentality. But I feel like that hot pursuit is kind of antithetical to this game and these games in general. You know, you're always just getting loot.
No more primary targets on my Argus scans. Well done. Stand by for extraction. Unless you want to linger just a little longer.
Nah, because of that failed mission, I think I'll run another one. And that last one was quick. Yay! Glory! More glory! Well, that was easy. Just nuke all that. And we'll hit this one. Yeah, looking at my map, I missed. I will miss out on a covert mission because I failed that one. Oh well.
Kill the masters, and you will render a sea of vermin helpless.
If anything, I can always come back and run this again. I'll probably run like a different Void Crusade first. Just because it's not that fun watching me run like the same thing back to back. That's why I didn't do Ekru again. And because I was still missing a few shards. Which actually I was looking, I have like 10 Void Brethren keys and some tier 3, so I might run a few of those later on. Man, I really love the design for like the Void Brethren stuff. I think that was so cool. Oh my god, I just remembered. Sony saying they're gonna have like a bunch, like 5 or 6, I want to say, live service games in like 3 to 4 years, I think. Like they'll all be active by then, and I'm like, that's a very bold strategy, and I don't know. Part of the thing I hate is live service can mean literally anything. Like, Far Cry 5, when they were doing those weekly challenge things, that was a live service. It sucked. Having played through all of them, and having gotten all the skins for them, they were stupid. Because it was like, oh, kill 150 guys with Molotovs. Or no, it was, I think, with Dragon's Breath rounds, but you couldn't use Molotovs. You had to kill 150... people or like 50 animals or something. It was stupid. I did it, got the skin, went, huh, and then never used it. The only ones that were worthwhile, kind of worthwhile, were when they added new weapons. And it was like, oh, you get a skin for the Luger, and then they would add the Luger. And it was like, okay. I never used the guns because why would I use them when they're better weapons? It was just kind of a, hey, I did thing. And then they stopped supporting once all the DLC came out within like 3 months of launch. I mean, hell, Madden can be considered a live service game. So, Sony being like, oh, we're gonna have all these live service games, that doesn't mean much. If you have, like, little updates going on for Gran Turismo becomes a live service game. It's not a term I would use to describe a game as much as, like, a model within the game. Because it's as descriptive as saying, like... Actually, no, it's even less descriptive. Because I was going to say, it's like saying you're making a sports game. Well, what sport? You know, you just get, oh, it's a sports game. But that even narrows it down to at least it's sports. Live service is literally everything. To a degree, this is a live service game. Because it continually gets updates. They're just horrendously inconsistent on console. And to this day that I'm recording, Sony is still fighting the whole Activision acquisition, which I genuinely wonder if it fails, because like the UK is unsure about how they feel about the whole thing and are kind of iffy on signing off on the merger. But my question becomes, what happens to it then? Like, does Activision remain independent at that point? Do they just have to find a new buyer? Are we gonna keep seeing this happen? Because I feel like no matter how it goes, it's not gonna be good. And it doesn't help everybody. I know EA is trying to get bought. Ubisoft, their heads are trying to fight it, but people want them to sell. It's a weird time. We're gonna probably have a very tumultuous couple years in gaming at the rate things are going. Which I'm not too big on, but can't do much about it. I'm gonna say purples. Yeah, purples and greens. Alright, good, so we have a secret mission available. But we will get to that next time. If you enjoy this episode, make sure to hit the like button, it helps out the channel a lot, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.